Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV and the Simutec Motorsport TCR Winter Series live right now. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me is DJ Clark. Sam Kumo is operating the cameras, and this is the media day for this championship, and it is Oulton Park, the island layout, the first round of the championship. DJ isn't necessarily going to be counting for points this round of the series, however, it's going to give us a very good indication of what's is in store for the rest of the championship. And yeah, we're going to have a good familiarity of what the pecking order is for the rest of the season.
We certainly will, and part of the reason that this has been changed over to a media day is the addition of the two new TCR cars to the iRacing service. Obviously the Hyundai and the Honda Civic coming in, and so everybody just wanting to give the drivers a chance to get up to speed with some new machinery and get all of that tried out. But one way or the other, Oulton Park in these touring cars really guaranteed to produce a fantastic race.
Absolutely, and I'm not sure about yourself, DJ, but this is certainly my time broadcasting a race with these cars. They were only released a week ago, and that feels like a very long time ago. A week ago, we didn't have the W12. We only had one TCR car. We didn't have Nutkill. I don't want to go back to that world. We live in a much better place now, 7 days later, and it is fantastic to see proper multi-class TCR cars out on track. We are currently in a 15-minute qualifying session, and we've got plenty of time left in this qualifying session. Currently Hussein up on top, quite a difference in time And this is quite a tricky circuit, I think, DJ. You were very much complimenting the circuit before. It's you know, going to be a lot of fun in these cars, but it isn't easy to avoid instance. It is a very narrow, proper old school. Some of these chicanes as well are really tricky to get through in one piece. And it's very easy to pick up off tracks. It's very easy to maybe hit a wall as well. So it's a bit of a baptism of fire, I think, for these drivers tonight.
Yeah, certainly. And thankfully, we are running the island layout, so you're missing ostensibly the long run down to Shell's Oil's corner, and that's going to be a little bit helpful because of that first chicane after the hairpin. Normally, when you run the full layout there, that is absolutely mega fast, but now still tricky, but you're not going to be carrying nearly as much speed in there, so that's a little bit of a saving grace. But you can also see a lot of elevation change around here. That's going to be very easy to throw the cars off, so drivers are going to have to be on their toes every single corner.
We might be able to go on an onboard lap here with Matthew Crisp trying to take pole position at the moment. He's kind of just sets up that previous lap and trying to go for a big one this time around. But that last lap was in 2/10 off his best lap, so very strong. Woodhouse moves up to third. Flatzer now moves up into first. We're familiar with him from other series on Apex Racing TV, as we are with many of these drivers. But Terrier doing extremely well. As you see this very awkward hairpin just kind of bouncing over the curves. It's almost double Apex. It's quite kind of a wide or quite a long kind of hairpin corner, and then it's not quite as long this straight into the chicane, and this will very much be single file. You can maybe dive up the inside, but I could see some exciting racing rounds here. And then this is where the track really opens up, a couple of fast speed corners to end out the lap. It seems like a decent lap so far for the Oulton Tech NHR driver so far on this time. And you can see on the left the stripe for Malcolm and Layson, the white stripe, indicating the amateur drivers, I believe. So Malcolm currently doing very well in that class, up there in 7th place overall, and Layson's and Calber currently in 2nd and 3rd in that class.
Yeah, doing very well for himself to be able to get that far ahead as we finish out the lap here. And you really hit the nail on the head about the second part of this circuit, Sam. Once it gets past Knickerbrook and going through Druids and Lodge, I anticipate those being two of the better overtaking opportunities on the track. Despite the fact that they are very fast, sweeping corners, it's really the only area that you can kind of safely get too wide and not have to worry about the car running too wide and finding yourself off into the grass.
Yeah, it's still not going to be easy, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Those places are going to be the best areas for the drivers to overtake. Still qualifying going to be very important. We have got 3 races actually tonight, so we're going to have 2 races kind of back to back, and then we're going to have a bit of a short break, and then the 3rd race will have a reverse grid of a random amount, 6 to 12 drivers, and that's just not often in the past on Apex Racing TV with covered races which have a random reverse, but the drivers know beforehand. It'll be different round to round, but the drivers know beforehand. In this series, it is totally random until that session is launched, and so we really have no idea, or we haven't got an idea. It'll be between 6 and 12 places for a race through the reverse grid, but the drivers won't be able to aim for that position, so they'll really be hoping to get into that top 6. They won't be too complacent. They'll be trying to finish up as high as they can, as just 4.5 minutes of this session remain. Great diversity in terms of cars for tonight. It's certainly not a case of the Audi being totally ditched, because you can still see it's fairly popular. Maybe the Hyundai maybe just taking the spoils, and the Honda, if anything, a little bit neglected. I'm not quite sure what the reasons for that one is, DJ, but well, I imagine the performance of these 3 cars, I believe at the moment at least, is very similar.
Yeah, very, very similar. The only real difference that has been noticeable between the Honda and the Hyundai here at this point is the Hyundai has a little bit of a longer wheelbase, and so that'll make it a little bit easier to get around some of these sweeping corners. But outside of that, in terms of engine ability and overall handling in the cars, everything's seeming pretty much the same. iRacing has done a really, really good job to keep this BOP absolutely even keeled across the board. And it's really going to present some fantastic racing. As you said, being able to race a 3-car type TCR field at long last, it's really a gift from iRacing.
Absolutely elated that we've got we've got these cars, and frankly as well, the TCR was very much neglected for a while. It's nice to see it get some attention again, because certainly remember when the Audi first came up, there was a lot of hype around it. Before that, of course, we were using the Kia Optima. No disrespect to the Kia Optima, but yeah, people were getting a bit tired of that one, and this has certainly reinvigorated this class of cars on iRacing. We'll just give a thanks to the title sponsor for this championship, Simutec. And if you want to drive a professional motorsport simulator used by real-life racing drivers, also be expertly coached and engineered to learn and navigate your way around some of the best circuits in the world and some of the fastest cars available, go to Simutec. And by doing that, you can become a faster sim racer and get yourself on par with some of the best esports pro drivers. So do visit Simutec at www.simutec.co.uk. Huge thanks to them for putting on this fantastic championship, or certainly supporting this fantastic championship for this season. We've got 5 meetings later on in the championship. We've got Okayama, we've got Imola, Knock Hill, which I think we all know which one we're most excited about, and also Donington and Brands Hatch as well to round out the championship. Really nice choice of tracks, I think, actually there, DJ. I think, you know, Okayama, Imola, kind of the non-British rounds, but I personally absolutely adore Okayama. I think it's an excellent track for any cars, and Imola as well, I think is almost a little bit like maybe this Oulton Park circuit, a few chicanes being involved, a few hairpins as well, a little bit of elevation change. So no, I think all the rounds should be a lot of fun to the drivers.
I completely agree, and yeah, Imola's the one that I really have circled. It's sort of the only one that we think of as a full-fledged Formula 1 circuit anymore, and so obviously very old school in its layout and the way that it drives, but at the same time, definitely a little bit different than everything else. I think you're going to see that round being one where top speed is going to be key, despite the many twists around the corners, as opposed to some more, let's call them traditional club circuits, like Oulton Park, like Brands Hatch, places like that.
Yeah, and those meetings will be going once a fortnight. So, of course, tonight is the 14th of December, and then the next round will be the 28th of December, which it's a time where we don't have too many broadcasts on Apex Racing TV, so I'm very much looking forward to that one. It gets a bit boring as a commentator over the Christmas period, but that one will keep us entertained. And then the 11th of January, the 25th of January, 8th of February, and the 22nd of February will be the last round of the championship, as Harris moves up into 4th position. Still Terrier Flatson at the top of the standings, and once we get to that 15 minutes, that will be it, at least as far as I'm aware. Because this is a heat racing format, so we will instantaneously move over to the grid. And what a big grid it is. I was slightly concerned when I joined the session with over 30 cars in. Would we reach the 40 car maximum that we got in this around this track? Fortunately, we just fell short of that, 33 cars, but that is plenty enough to have a fantastic race. As there is the grid. Flatson on pole position, then it's Naveed Hussain, Matthew Crisp, Damien Harris, Adam Wright, Mark Woodhouse, Matt Borg Anderson, Gerard Rainford, Sean Gardner, Ben Thanes, Dor Hagen, Ben Hicks in 12th place, and top of the amateurs is Scott Malcolm, the legend. That is Scott Malcolm. Then it's Bram Clay. Second place out of the amateurs is Ben Denyer. Then it is Paul King, Thomas Layson, Hakon Ask, Sven Calbert, Neil Stevenson, Wayne Palmer, Ricardo Neto, Martin Shirley, James Leggett, Craig Schill, Rob Jackson, Tim Perry, Jason Guerrara, Niles D. Kuiper, John Roberts, Kalle Kavisto, Greg Parmenter, and Jakub Szymanski. Planning out this 33 car field, and I am getting better at names. It's taken a while, many years, for getting names wrong, but that if yep, I thought that was an alright effort there. We just got Rob Jackson actually to get on to the grid for this race, as he is now there. So the lights are going to very soon on here at Oulton Park for the first race of this Media Day event. Flatson from the pole position, and the red lights are out. Can he get to the first corner first? It looks very good for him at the moment. Having to go defensive against the fast outputting Martin Crisp, who's trying to go round the outside, but Flatson keeps the lead in the early stages. Good start for Woodhouse to get past right as he tries to go a little bit side by side, heading into Cascades. In fact, we've got a driver well onto the grass, and that may be Gardner in the green car going well off the circuit. Actually, maybe right, I think, having to go a little bit wide as we get into the hairpin for the first time, and this is where we can really see some problems occur.
Yeah, this is going to be the big bunch up for the field. Whoa, you see the number 3 machine there of Mark Woodhouse getting a little bit checked up. Everybody looking like they're playing it nice and easy. Big checkups back in the field, testing out those brakes as best as possible. And Sam, I believe everybody's been able to get through nice and cleanly.
Yeah, that is really good driving. Can easily be dominoes as we've got a lot of rear locking there. That was fantastic defense, or fantastic just braking there from Rainford, because he was all over the shop, but he did manage to get the car stopped just in time. Malcolm has kept the lead in the amateurs. He's actually pulled away from Layson as we've got a driver off the circuit. Brian Clays is a little bit slow. He's now down 3 places from his start. I think it may have been Wayne Palmer, who was just off in the background for a moment there. But just Ricardo Neto, I think, turning back to the pits instantaneously off the grid. Everyone else managing to continue out here at the moment as we get the first lap in the books out of 20.
Yeah, 1 out of 20. We saw some brake lock up there going down into Lodge Corner and over Deer Leap. Very easy to do. There's a lot of trail braking involved on this circuit. As we now ride on board with Adam Wright. He's trying to take a little bit of a look there as they get ready to go into Cascades. Tricky to pull off a corner there. That's Mark Woodhouse directly in front of him in the Audi. He's really starting to put the pressure on.
He's going to have to go the long way, but this is surely impossible to go around the outside here. Such a tight corner. It's inevitable that you're just going to come out second best, and he's now got to be careful of Anderson, who is all over the back of him. We have had a collision down at the hairpin now. It is King, and I think that might be Layson's and Clay's involved. Or it may have just been King and Clay's, it seems, colliding right there. And, well, I assume this is just going to be one driver into the back of another. Frankly, we're lucky not to have more drivers involved. You can see trying to move about, maybe a little bit of movement from the 77, and then super unlucky for the 25. Apogeo, or was that King actually? I think he may have been the last driver to get hit there. And yeah, it was King who was the unlucky of them all. And yeah, they're losing lots of time.
Yeah, and it looked like there that Thomas Layson, you saw him coming out of Cascades, just got his tires up onto the grass, and that sent him a little bit squirrely and a little bit around it. I don't think he was in complete control of the car, really, even when he started to apply the brakes, so just sort of a cascading effect out of Cascades, no pun intended.
I found it hilarious, so I'm still laughing. And hopefully the audience are as well, because that's as good as the quality gets in Fixed Racing TV. Flatson, a little bit wide, no instant limits for these drivers, and that is a godsend here at Oulton Park, because this place has got some dreadful incident points where you can just be 2 wheels off the track, have half your car on the circuit and still get a 1X. It's absolutely bizarre, as I think Chris has just gone a little bit wide there. He was right on the tail of Flatson, but now makes a small mistake, I think, and under a lot of pressure from Hussein, who sees his opportunity, tries to go up the inside, but he makes contact, and that front end of Crisp's car is absolutely obliterated. It snaps in half, and that was very much a pun intended. And Hussein, as he's tried to stop for him, Hussein, I think, has had another issue. I think he's trying to wait for his rival, but I mean, honestly, Naveed, his car is damaged. Just get up the road, and well, you may get a penalty for that.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an opportunistic move there for Naveed Hussein, but trying to be the gentleman there, and obviously I don't think he realized just how much damage was done to that other machine. It just dove in a little bit too hard, a little bit too late, and that caused the contact, and now this finds Hussein all the way down, minus 15 positions into 17th, but he's still being aggressive. That was a look to the inside of Leggett, and they're going to be side by side as they come through the start-finish.
Leggett maybe closing the door slightly there. Seemed like Hussein was alongside heading into the corner. Contact between the two of them, but the good thing with these TCR cars is that you can make contact and still get away with it, and that is what the drivers have just done there. As Hakon Ask is going to hold off Sven Kalbert. This is Ignia Motorsports Blaze versus Dynamics Racing Simulators. And again, the hairpin is such a tempting place to overtake, but it's so narrow, it's so easy to defend into there. And if anything, it's actually on the exit where it's very easy to make a mistake. We're seeing more moves taking place. Now, on the last lap, we saw that it was a bit of a dummy attempt, and that's kind of what you've got to do. You've got to lure your opponent into a false sense of security around the circuit so that they don't defend the inside, because if they do defend the inside, then there's no way past. It didn't end well on that last lap, and this time Calbert not even close enough to attempt such a audacious move. Also very close just ahead, I think that might be Scott Malcolm, still top of the amateur drivers, but he's only just ahead of Thor Gunnar Hagen, and Hagen's actually got an excellent run heading into the final corner. They're going alongside just ahead of these guys as well, with Hicks trying to get ahead of Gardner, as Hagen does move past Malcolm. Not much of a defense puts up there, and Gardner ahead of Hicks as well.
Yeah, exactly. Good move there from Hagen. You saw almost a little bit of a feint at a hip check, just slightly moving the car to the left as they went through Lodge Corner, just trying to force Malcolm off that apex a little bit, and it worked a charm. And so that'll move Hagen up into 10th. He's now got Hicks and Gardner right ahead of him, and I think the way those two are battling, we are going to see Hagen all over the back of them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is still going on right now with Gardner. Still having to go on maximum defense, but Hicks hasn't got just underneath him. No, he had to back out of it. Now gets into the draft. But Gardner just needs to kind of put his car into the middle of the circuit here, and he should be fine. He doesn't even need to do that. It's chicane. It's tight, but you can carry some speed through there, so not a huge braking error. Now, yeah, you're absolutely right. Hagen right with these drivers, and well, that's bad news for Hicks, because if he does go a bit offline, he's going to be under a lot of pressure, and he's got to slow down. He's taken too much of the grass on the inside there coming out of the chicane, and Hicks gets a nasty slowdown, and it might even lose him to a place to Scott Malcolm.
Yeah, Malcolm trying to get up there a little bit more, but that 174 may look a little far back. But yeah,
I think he got slowed down as well, Malcolm, actually, because he's really dropped back and he's now lost the amateur race lead. Ben Denyer is now at the top.
Called it absolutely perfectly. And you mentioned earlier, no incident limits for these drivers, but those slowdowns do still exist, and especially at a place like this. But here comes Malcolm, maybe trying to fight back on Denyer. He's going to have a look to the inside, tries to keep it woed up, and he's got it. But Denyer not letting it go away quite easy, looking for a little bit of a crossover. Nothing doing. That is Malcolm back up into that AM lead.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. That's yeah, the instant limit is very thankful, and I am pleased that we don't have an instant limit around this circuit of all places, because instants are so poor compared to the real life series. But they slow down, so yeah, are always going to be present. And yeah, that curb kind of on the exit of the chicane, or the 3-point chicane, just really doesn't exist. You can cut it as much as you like, and particularly these cars, it's really not a deterrent in the grass whatsoever. So yeah, super easy to pick up a slowdown. As we tune in back with our leaders, Platson a little bit away now after that contact we had for the second and third place drivers, Hussein and Crisp earlier on. He's been able to just kind of keep that 1.5 second gap. Harris in a comfortable second place. Most likely move, probably Anderson on right, but these guys have been this close to one another since lap 1. And nothing has really materialized yet. Still got over half the race to go though.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of patience out of these drivers, and at a narrow place like Oulton Park, I think you're seeing a little bit of the mental game starting to play in. You're seeing, that first corner there coming through Old Hall. It always scares me. I always think they're going to go completely off track, and I forget that there's a little bit of runoff they can take. But what the little bit of the mental game here is just trying to fill the rearview mirror of the car in front of you. If you have to be looking at that, looking out for that potential dive to the inside or the fake out move, you're not going to be driving to your maximum potential. As you can see just how close they are getting Adam Wright all over the back of Mark Woodhouse.
You can't be closer than that. Now just needs to turn it into an overtake. Thanks to those who voted in our little YouTube chat poll. the Hyundai, by far the most popular car, 76% of you, I think is 9 out of 13, voted for the Hyundai. So thanks for letting us know. And yeah, we, of course, you've already summed up a little bit earlier on, DJ, how have a bit of an advantage, the Hyundai with the longer wheelbase around this circuit. So yeah, maybe the drivers kind of liking the Hyundai at the moment, as Ask is off the track. And that's it's going to take him an absolute age here to get back going, because you can't just spin up the wheels either and just do a nice 180. Instead, with these front wheel drive cars, you can do a 3-point turn instead, and he's dropping way back. And now Roberts has had a bit of an issue as well. That's a little bit further back in. Well, he occupies the exact same place that Ask was.
Yeah, and there you see him just kind of taking the long way to get himself turned back around, being nice and respectful of the other drivers around him. Very easy to lose it there. That's down into Druids. It's about a third or a fourth gear corner even in these TCRs, but we've got a battle up at the top.
Yeah, Woodhouse is, when he did have a little bit of a cushion before, that cushion is well and truly gone. And Wright is closing down the straight, but still 2 tenths behind into the braking area. To back out of it, but just shows the treacherousness of this track. So easy to make a mistake, just dipping a wheel onto the grass, and then quickly be curtains for you. Very impressive, honestly, how consistent these top 7 have been. Rainford, despite having a little bit of a mistake earlier on the brakes on that one, very nearly wiped out a couple of cars, still doing well there in 7th place, as Hussein has just moved up to 12th place. So Hussein, who was up in the top 3 earlier on, made contact, then was extremely nice and tried to give up the position, of which he wasn't able to do because Chris has so much damage on his car. But he is managing to get his way through. And he's now up to 12th place.
He is indeed, and he's right now splitting the 2 AM leaders between Scott Malcolm and Ben Denyer. Whoa, here comes Wright.
I think he's going to get the inside. No, he's run wide. He just carried too much speed to Adam Wright. And it's the worst case scenario for him. He goes off the track, and after looking like he was going to gain a place with a fantastic overtake, he's lost 3 places out of that, and he'll be absolutely furious. He tried to go around the outside, but a few marbles out there, and just probably applying a throttle too much, and that Hyundai understeering out of the corner, and it has cost him a lot of time. He did so well to get alongside in the first place. It was actually a mistake then from Mark Woodhouse, right, keeping the throttle pinned, and he knew that this was as good an opportunity as he was going to get. I thought he'd been able to pull this one off, but just ran out of grip around the outside there off the rubber in line a bit, crossed downhill, maybe a bit off camber as well, and Wright quickly losing 3 places.
Yeah, just falling down the order there. Very easy to do around these fast corners. We've talked about it multiple times on just what it's like to get that. But here for Wright, he's got Jared Rainford right ahead of him, the UK&I driver, certainly starting to apply the pressure. I think it's a good job for Wright that he was able to gather everything back up there out of Cascades. Didn't lose too many positions, and he is certainly not out of it. But you can see how wide he's running there out of Old Hall. He is pushing and hustling that number 8.
If we had a instant limit, then by no means would he be doing that, at least not on every lap, maybe on a select few occasions. But without the instant limit, you're happy to do that, and that is what we like to see. Just really pushing the limits of the track. As you saw, Woodhouse having to go defensive against Anderson into the hairpin, just doing what he needs to do. They are much slower than the race. He is losing about a second a lap at the moment, as Matthew Crisp, I believe, is that car slow on the cut-through. Just saying these drivers passed, he was a lap down, of course, after racing with these drivers much earlier on in the event. But Woodhouse is just doing everything he needs to with that car, keep the podium position as it stands. Still Hagen ahead of Gardner, and also ahead of Hicks. 2 seconds back to Malcolm, who was being caught by Hussein, but this is still the biggest battle out on track. As I think Hussein, after closing in a number of laps already, is now going to put this move on Malcolm. This is where Malcolm was overtaken earlier on, actually, by another driver, and Hussein makes that 1 minute.
Yeah, makes it look easy there coming up through Lodge Corner. Now he's going to be able to catch up to the back here of Hicks, Gardner, and Hagen. It'll be interesting to see how that speed does, because the farther he climbs up through the field, Hussein that is, the closer he's going to be to the guys that he was battling earlier. And so he's going to stop being able to make the easy moves, I think, and he's really going to have to put in some hustle to try to continue to get on that rise.
And it's important as well for Hussein to gain those positions, because as far as I'm aware at least, and I have just checked in session as well, the finishing order for this race will be the starting order for race 2. So every position you can gain in this race will get you an extra position for the race 2 grid. Race 3 will be a bit more complex. We'll have a reverse grid, but at least for race 2, you want to be as high up as you can as race 1. It will greatly beneficiary for the next event, as Hagen, after being able to get past Gardner earlier on, at least as far as I remember, we got past Gardner, driving for the legendary boosted motorsports team. Great to see their liveries. By the way, I fully agree that the Ignium liveries are lovely out there. Hagen is in one of them out on track. Race machine, as he actually is able to pull away. Gardner dropping back into the clutches now of Hicks, who might fancy his chances as they head on to their 12th lap of this race 1.
Yeah, and it looked there that Gardner just ran a little bit wide coming through Lodge Corner. That allowed for Hicks to think about a little bit more of an assault. As we jump back here, this is Sven Kalbert in a very, very tight battle there with Stevenson. They're going to be side by side through the first corner and continue to go at it.
Right, it's excellent work there from Stevenson. He is ahead, but I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be able to hold on to this position. Kalbert 0.8 of a second quicker on that last lap, and the inside line is open. He could go for a dive, but maybe feels like it could happen somewhere else. There's a bump between the pair of them, if anything. I think that's really helped out Stevenson, who has had a very slow amount of speed. A bit of a bump, just maybe giving him an extra few kilometers of an hour of pace, and Stevenson is safe for now. I'm not fancying his chances though to hold on for another 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
No, nor am I, but
well,
that's
now I do.
I was going to say, that certainly helps him. Sven Kalbert getting all kinds of cross-eyed going out of the chicane there. He may be able to hold that out now.
Well, if he can keep up the laps that he did on that last time round, Kalbo was 0.8 of a second past. He's currently 1 second behind, and he's got maybe even 3 laps to go, depending on where the leaders are. We'll get close to another lap. I think it will just be 2, including this lap, as Woodhouse, wow, this is even closer. He gets a tap, and he's surely going to go off the circuit. And still, Anderson not giving up. He's trying to go up the inside. Who can take beneficiary of this? The entire circuit is covered. It's almost 3 wide, and after all of that, it is Anderson ahead. But Woodhouse makes more contact. He's made contact with all of these drivers in all of this. And Rainford slips and slides off the track, but it's Anderson who is now at the head of this one. Thames moves ahead of Woodhouse, and we need to see a replay of that one, because that was some aggressive driving there between Woodhouse and Anderson.
Yeah, very aggressive there. I think definitely getting some elbows out. Drivers know that there's only about 2 laps to go here, but I got to say, I'm watching Ben Thames very, very closely. That number 69 car looks very aggressive. The Flemish racing driver, Flemish Simsports driver, really pushing here as they make their way down into Druids. Taking a wider line, more contact.
Oh, Woodhouse got an immense run, but he had nowhere to go with it. He was willing to go onto the grass just to keep that speed up. He's got one of the positions back, and boy, does he want this 3rd position. Anderson surely will have to hold on. And, well, I think it's getting a bit personal now between these two, because at least from what I can see, Anderson with a slight tap into Cascade. He didn't hesitate after that. He wasn't allowing his rival back past. He was going for it, and they're going for it again here. Woodhouse round the outside through turn 1. They've made contact 5 times or so in the past lap, and I think there might be a couple more still to come out. But Woodhouse, after dropping from 3rd to 5th in 1 lap, he's got back up to 5th to 3rd in another half a lap, and that is excellent driving from him. And Thames continues not to be able to overtake Wright just in this one, as we see what happened originally. There was certainly a tap, and Thanes was the big beneficiary.
Yeah, Thane's the big beneficiary there, trying to send that car up to the inside. That's the 17 there of Anderson. Anderson looked a little bit over-aggressive coming into the corner there. You can see the complete run-off for the number 8 of Jared Rainford. But yeah, I've got to put a little bit of the naughty blame there on Anderson for just getting his elbows out and trying to dive a little bit too close.
I think you might be right on that one, as Flatson has been very dominant. Well, Harris has kept him very honest, and actually that gap coming down to just 0.7 of a second. He was catching Harris, but Flatson had control of the race from start to finish. He took pole position, he got to turn 1 first, and he gets to the checker flag first as well. Terry Flatson takes race 1 on the media day for this kind of prologue of the Simutec TCR Winter Series. Woodhouse somehow finishes 3rd place. That doesn't really count for anything. I mean, there's no points tonight, but you would have thought that battle was for the title, and it was a terrific battle. So thanks to those guys for offering such fantastic entertainment. Rainford ends up in 13th place, and those results mattering so much because they set the grid for race 2. As we got a car miles off the second. I think that may have been a back marker, if anything, or maybe it was Lason's, not quite sure. Szymanski just about beating Ask, who had a spin. Szymanski actually up 14 places, the highest gainer of anyone out on track. And after all that, we had 29 of the 32 starters finishing the event. So good work from the drivers. But Flatson and Harris really establishing quite a dominance there, DJ. They were best part of 10 seconds clear of the rest of the order. I know the others were fighting, but that was some drive from the pair.
It really was. And in regards to, this being the media day and not counting for points, yes, that is very true. But at the same time, you've got to keep in mind that these drivers want the bragging rights. They want the ability to start on a good note. If you're able to walk away with a win, a good podium here in some of the heats in the media day, that's going to boost your ego. That's going to boost your confidence, especially these drivers that are out in new machinery like the Honda and the Hyundai. They're going to feel confident, and they're going to be able to be more aggressive mentally then going forward when we get into the points paying races. So very, very good job for the drivers like Flatten to finish up as high as they did, and to walk away with the win. I think it's a bit of an omen for things to come, and it's also going to be a good thing that they can hang their hat on.
Yeah, for sure. I think if we get to the end of the season and Flatson hasn't won another race, I'll be very surprised. But if he doesn't, if that happens, then at least he can say he's won a race this season. I think it counts, even though it's the media day. I think so many drivers, such a competitive grid out here tonight. I think he can certainly be proud of that one. Harris in 2nd position. Then it was Woodhouse a long way back. Somehow beats Anderson. I feel like that's going to be... I can see that battle occurring throughout the season. Those two, I think, are going to have quite a battle between the two of them. Then it was Ben Thanes, Adam Wright, Thor Hagen, Sean Gardner, Ben Hicks, Navid Hussein. Top 3 in the amateurs were Scott Malcolm, Ben Denyer, and Neil Stevenson. And I'll let the rest of the field go through for you. Pretty much, so many drivers finishing. It was really good to see, and such a good lap 1 as well. Really well mannered from the drivers. We had a couple of collisions, but on the most part, excellent driving from the guys out there. So it's pretty much, as far as I know, and if there is suddenly a massive reverse grid, I wouldn't be absolutely shocked. But it's going to be potentially the same thing over again. We're going to see these kind of battles renews, I think, here, DJ, for race 2. And honestly, I think if Flatson gets into turn 1 in the lead, he almost seems a little bit unbeatable. Overtaking was not easy out there, and even a man of Damien Harris's skill is going to struggle to get past. So I think that launch for this race 2 is going to be absolutely essential.
I think you're very right, especially for the guys that are up front, including Woodhouse as well, looking for them to keep up there. But what is going to be interesting to keep an eye on are drivers like Hussein that are a little bit out of position. We saw Hussein really duking it out there for the podium positions, and then obviously having the incident that forced him down the field. With the grid being set to the final finishing order, he's going to be out of position, and everybody being bunched up at the start, he may be able to gain back up. It'll be interesting to see how well he's able to push ahead and get himself into a position to get back to, let's say, where he should be as his pace would dictate.
Yeah, I mean, whilst it isn't a reverse grid, we have got drivers out of position. There are a few guys who will be making up moves, so they will certainly offer us a lot of entertainment for race 2. We're just doing a little bit of a warm-up at the moment. You can see the timer in the top left, 5-minute session. It's sort of a warm-up, sort of a cool-down. I always ask this question, DJ, to pretty much everyone. But whenever you've got one of these warm-up sessions, quoting quotes, is it a warm-up for you or is it a cool-down? Because personally, I never set a lap. I'm like, I've just driven for 20 minutes, and I'm about to drive for another 20 minutes. The last thing I want to be doing right now is driving. This is a 5-minute break for myself. But, I mean, do you go out there? Do you keep it kind of fresh? Do you maybe, you know, experiment with some different lines when, you know, the pressure's off? What's kind of your strategy when it comes to these types of sessions?
Well, I'm very much a sort of rhythm driver that I need to get into that zone and just kind of continually put in lap after lap. So for me, these warm-ups are just a way to continue the momentum that I have. I go out and I try to find an empty bit of track and just sort of run some consistent laps out there to keep myself in the right mindset, because when I'm out battling on track, it's a different sort of muscles that you're using. You're not trying to hit the apex exactly where you want to. You're trying to hit the apex where the driver ahead of you is not. So yeah, I use these warm-up sessions as a true warm-up, just keeping myself in the same zone.
Yeah, you've clearly got better stamina than myself. I desperately need the break, as the session is nearly done, and we have got most drivers out there. So I think taking your strategy much more than mine on that one, as the grid will soon form up. So yeah, we'll get race 2 of the evening underway. As just wait and see if there's any surprises. But it is what we thought. Platson on pole position, Harris second, Woodhouse third, Anderson fourth, Thanes right, Hagen, Gardner, Hicks, and Hussein. Top 10, and yeah, Malcolm, Denyer, and Stevenson are part of the AMs. Scott Malcolm, you know, the most established amateur of all time. We've commentated so many different series with Scott Malcolm involved, and every single one of them, he's an amateur. And I think he's so close to being a pro. And I think if his rating was changed for round 1 on the basis of his pace tonight, I think it would be very fair. Of course, many-time champion in the amateur category, Scott, but it's very good to see him doing so well. Absolute veteran in touring cars, whether it's the Audi TCR, still driving the TCR in fact tonight, or of course the Kia Optima as well. As we are running out of time, and I don't think Ben Thanes is going to take part in this race, which is a little bit of a shame, so there is going to be a gap in 5th position. But everyone else is onto the grid, and for the second time tonight we are going to launch into turn 1. We are green flag racing. Flatson with another excellent start. Harris doing a good job from 2nd position, but he's going to have to fend off Woodhouse, who was able to go around the outside at this turn 1 of another driver in race 1. He's not able to do it because Harris very much shut the door, as we have got a little bit of contact heading through turn 1. Stevenson and Perry off the track, and others as well were involved, as now we've got Wright sliding off the circuit. Can he keep it on the tarmac? No, he can't, and he's going off into Narnia, into the grass, and we'll have to make a very careful rejoin. Into the hairpin we go, much less bunched up than we were in race 1, thankfully. A couple of drivers just running wide. I think Hicks may have been going wide, allows Hussein up into 6th place, as now Szymanski trying to pick a way through this, because the track is almost blocked, and he's had to go onto the alternative layout, and after a fantastic race 1 start, that was a little bit more messy.
Yeah, a little bit more of, frankly, what I was anticipating having happen on this circuit, but now it looks like everybody's starting to get themselves back underneath. We look at Ask here as there's multi-wide and a lot of damage there. I'm seeing the 195, that's Szymanski, that front end looking very, very crumpled.
And Ask not looking too bad, honestly, but maybe some steering damage because he's come to a stop as Hussein is still moving his way through. He was well out of position, was running up in the top 3 earlier on, and he is up into 5th place. He's just got past Hagen. Malcolm's still at the top of the amateurs. In fact, those top amateur drivers doing a really good job at navigating their way through. And in fact, we just found out that Rainford, well, I'm not sure if Rainford is an amateur, but we're now designating him as an amateur. That will be tough for Malcolm and Denyo to keep him behind for the entire race. Harris still staying very close. Wright's having another problem. He's off the track. He loves that piece of grass, and whenever he does go onto that piece of grass, seeing that his livery is green, he does kind of blend into the scenery, but he is down into 15th position. And a move further up. This is Denya and Rainford. Rainford up into 10th position. And, well, he's immediately onto the back of Malcolm. Usually when you make an overtake like that, you're going to get a poor exit. No such problem there for the British driver, and he is going to soon be fighting for the amateur class lead.
Yeah, he is pushing his way forward there, so good to see that from him as they continue to work their way around and this fight continuing on.
Malcolm has been overtaken a number of times actually at the final corner. We saw it with him and Hussein earlier on in the event, and also another driver, cool as well. This time he's safe though, a little bit running wide there from Rainford, but he's clearly faster, and this one has got a bit of an air of inevitability to it. Still Flatson leading the way though. We've got an issue for Stevenson again. It's him and Palmer around. And again, we see this painful sight of these TCR cars, front wheel drive remember, trying to get back in the right direction, but there's just not an easy way to do it. You can do kind of, oh, as we've got Flatson off the circuit and he's given up the lead. I was saying how tricky it was going to be for Harris to move into the lead in this race. Well, Flatson's just made it very simple for him. He's gone wide, and it's now Damien Harris for Fiercely Forward, who leads at Oulton Park.
Oh my goodness gracious, absolute heartbreak there for Flatten. We haven't seen any mistakes out of him in that first race. I'm frankly stunned to see him go off the track like that and give over the position. Now we're going to have to see how well that number 11 car can do on the attack instead of on the defense.
Yeah, has he been holding back a bit of pace all night long, which he can now use to overtake. It's just all he's got. Calbert a bit off the circuit, but losing him a couple of places, and Woodhouse, who was getting very much detached, as Calbert has had another problem now, doing a Belgium back to the pits. Yeah, will Flatson be able to overtake Woodhouse? Was losing some time, but he's back with those guys within a second of the race lead, and Anderson still going with that battle. Hussein is going to try to move up into 4th place, and in fact a little bit of a break there for Anderson. They are not teammates. Ignium Motorsports versus TC Motorsport. But Anderson happy to give that one up, and Hussein up to 4th place.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of recognition from Anderson that Hussein just has a lot more speed. Remember, we talked about how Hussein started off out of position. I think Anderson just read the writing on the wall and decided to let Hussein right on by.
And Hussein, well, as we've got a move here, Hicks versus Hagen. I believe that is Hicks reading his way past. Right there, I think that's him defending. But he might have to defend later on. They are teammates, apologies, so they are both Ignium Motorsports, indicated by their fantastic livery. Also, if you look at the live timing in the description below, provided by SDK Gaming, I believe if you click on that, it will come up with the team name. So if you're ever confused about stuff like that, do click on that. Gives you lots of other information as well. Gaps between the drivers, their last lap time, their best lap time, pit stops, which can be useful in a scenario like this. If a driver's quite far down the order, it can help you identify if they've used their faster pair or not, as that's a little bit of a tap there. Anderson all of a sudden wanting to get back past Hussein. He gave up the position, but now he's absolutely furious about it and wants to take it back once again. He wasn't able to, at least on that occasion. Woodhouse just not with the pace at the top two. You can see that last lap he actually lost 1.3 seconds to the leaders. Woodhouse qualifying well, his racecraft is very good, but he just hasn't quite got the pace at the top guys tonight, it seems.
No, it really doesn't. Certainly falling off the back of Harris and Flatten here, as that's Hussein taking a little bit, trying to maybe carry some more momentum around the outside. The number 3 of Woodhouse going defensive there. Both lines paying out. Continue right on board with Anderson.
Really cool sounding car, this for Anderson. Do you love the different sounds of the TCR machines? He is driving in the, I believe that was I've heard the, well, of course, now we've got Rainford up the inside of Malcolm, who was all over the place, and Denya is going to try to go with him. Denya, who was able to get past Malcolm in race 1 as well. Malcolm was able to come back. He's made now to do it again in race 2, but crucially Rainford up into 9th place. We're not sure if Rainford's an amateur driver or not. He might be a pro, he may be an amateur. Sure, that'll be resolved for race for round 2. Apologies for the first proper meeting of the season. But he is up into 9th place. So that is 9th place overall, and Denya will try to go with him.
Yeah, and Scott Malcolm looking a little bit squirrely there on the final sector of that lap, just like he didn't have that Audi completely pulled up in the way that he would like to. But remember, we saw him do this last time out as well. Made a little bit of a mistake and then was able to come back on Denyer and fight back. But right now, he has got Adam Wright all over his rear wing and rear bumper, and so he's got to be looking ahead and simultaneously behind.
I love the profile picture for Scott Malcolm. Believe it or not, that is his natural hair. Quite a fantastic head he has got. As Wright, who has had a few problems, was down into 15th place. He is the next to pass Malcolm, who is he's just so experienced. Scott, he knows if the driver's faster behind you, just let them go. So I think that's what his logic was in that one. I think he'll fancy his chances of passing Denya later on. So he was able to do it in race 1 as well. But against Wright, I don't think he thinks he has too much of a chance. It is very close for the race lead right now, 0.2 of a second between Harris and Flatten. And it's also very close to 3rd place. Look at Hussein making an extra couple of corners for himself down the straight there. And he's trying to get the cut back. This is where he managed to move up into 4th position, and he's got an excellent run over the crest and on to lap 7 of this race. Woodhouse defending to the wall. He holds on to 3rd position, but Hussein is so much quicker. It looks like he's willing to go off the circuit, picks up the 1X, no problem for him, and he's up into 3rd place.
That was just sheer determination alone for Naveed Hussein. Really, really good job to be able to get that number 7 Hyundai up and forward. Now he's going to set his eyes on Flatten up ahead of him and Harris. And I think with as close as they're running, the gap really, really tight. Ooh, very lucky moment there for Woodhouse. It looked like he was about ready to plow into the back as we've got that battle. That is Malcolm, Denyer, and Wright.
And for the second race in a row, Denya gets past Malcolm, and then Malcolm gets back past Denya. She's back to 11th position, and Wright was also able to get past Denya in all of that as well. It seemed like that was the first move of the 3 of them. But well, honestly, it looks like Flatten was holding something back, because he is exceptionally quick right now. He is looking every which way for an overtake. He certainly looks quicker than Harris. Harris has got to go full defense here. That is what he does, but around these kind of longer radius corners, it is possible to go around the outside. The chicanes and the hairpins, no chance. Around this part of the circuit, it is possible. Right inside, no problem. Let's see if Flatten can pull off this move. Again, Harris will just cover off all the way to the inside, but we saw on the last lap for Hussein, this overtake on the outside of turn 1 is possible. But Harris just maybe hesitating on that turn in slightly, just forces his rival offline. And that was excellent defense. He's got another 9.5 minutes to survive.
Yeah, that was simultaneously a little bit of a later apex there from Harris, as well as almost a little bit of a false hip check. You saw him move a little bit more, tried to pinch Flatten out to the outside and get the suboptimal line that worked wonders for him. Harris able to keep ahead, but very, very hard fighting here, trying to catch up. Flatson doing that. Hussein not really able to bridge the gap. He's still about 1.8 seconds behind for making this a three-way battle.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time until he does catch up, although these guys' pace is still fairly good in the mid-27s. In fact, the last lap, I got into my screen use, which is hardly believable, honestly, is that their last lap was their fastest lap, despite the fact they seem very close in battling with one another, but still, it was a good lap for them. As Matthew Crisp, wow, this tonight is really not going his way. Remember, was running up in second place for much of race 1 before making contact with Naveed Hussein. And since then, it's just gone from bad to worse. Maybe was hoping to get within the top 12 and have hopes of getting within the reverse grid, but this race 2 has not gone his way. It means we've got 27 cars remaining out of the 32 car field we have tonight. Ben Dane's not taking the grid, it seems, after all of that. Ricardo Neto, by the way, 19 places up into 14th place. Gains a couple more places, he might be on a reverse grid pole. We're not sure what the reverse grid is going to be for race 3. It can be anything between 6 and 12 positions. But Neto, who I thought just wasn't taking part tonight, honestly, I don't think he even started race 1, is doing exceptionally well. It's the Portuguese.
Yeah, very, very good drive for Neto as we continue to watch this battle for P1. It looks like Hussein pulling in a little bit more gap at around 1.5 seconds back to Flatten, but Flatten just continuing to apply pressure to Damian Harris as much as possible. Harris took a little bit too much of that curb there on the inside coming through Knickerbrook, but it didn't hurt him too much.
That gap of 3 tenths is pretty much as big as it's been since he was able to overtake. So it's still looking excellent for him. By the way, another quick shout out to the title sponsor for this series, Simutec. Big thanks to them for supporting this championship. If you want to race on some of the best circuits in the world and some of the fastest cars and be expertly coached and engineered so that you can drive similar to one of the top esports professionals in the world of sim racing. Do check out simutec.co.uk where you can drive a professional motorsports simulator used by many real-life drivers as well. So big thanks to Simutec for sponsoring this series. As well, I'm kind of looking at the top 2. I'm mainly looking at Hussein because still no change between these two. Hussein actually lost a little bit of time on that last lap. However, they are just getting faster and faster. Maybe the fuel burning off lap after lap. They're now into the low 27s and leaving Mark Woodhouse in race as well. As we cut to Rainford, and he has, I think he's recently got past Sean Gardner actually, so Rainford up into 8.
And it looked like that was precipitated by a little bit of a wide run out of the hairpin for Gardner. I think he just lost a little bit of momentum there, and that allowed for Rainford to be able to push his way through nice and easy. A little Audi versus Honda battle, new versus the old.
Let's see if you can gain supremacy in that one. Rainford putting a bit of a gap seemingly, so he is looking good for that one. Adam Wright, who dropped down to 15th, got back up to, I think it was 10th, and then had another problem, so he's down into 12th. Also King as well, Paul King, who was doing, I'm struggling to remember the stories of all the drivers, but I think King had a problem in race 1, didn't he? Down at the hairpin with Woodhouse in the closing stages. That sent him tumbling down. He is up 10 places from his start. And there's Ricardo Neto up 10 places. Also John Roberts, who's a very competitive driver as Roberts. I'm sure once he gets a problem-free race, he'll be well into the side, the top 10. And he's up 12 places is Roberts, and Brian Place is also up 12 places. So some big gainers in this field. This is a nice battle going on. Long train of cars, they're all queued. And Martin Shirley for Simutec Racing. He's being caught by Thomas Layson.
Yes, he is. Surely they're leading that train. Layson behind Sam Roberts, Chill, Ask, all just kind of running in a nose to tail order here. Run out of the hairpin for Layson. I don't think it's going to be enough to attack down into the hairpin, but certainly enough to start to apply pressure to that 105 Audi in front of him.
Last attack, he was a bit faster. 3 tenths faster, 4 tenths faster, so a huge margin. That was just about enough, as you might occasionally see some red numbers flash up on the timing tells. May have been a touch from Layson, that was very close enough. But that red flash indicates that a driver's gone off the circuit. However, seeing that there's no incidents around this place, you see drivers go off the circuits all the time as they continue. But if you see a red for a while, then be concerned, because that indicates that a driver has had a problem, as there was very nearly a problem, I think, for Ask, just in the background there. We came super close to the wall. This is not a street circuit, but Ask was making it into a street circuit by track extending himself. Maybe even dented the wall slightly. Seems to have got away with it there.
Yeah, it seems to have gotten away with it, and it's actually quite easy to do coming up over Deer Leap like that. The way the track just sort of crests at the apex of the corner and then continues on. Very, very tricky to try to carry maximum momentum. Whoa, this is getting a little spicy here. That's a nice little over-under for Layson as they come out of the hairpin. He's going to be side by side with Shirley as they go down into the chicane.
He's done the hard work here. Now he just needs to get it stopped on the brakes. Can he get it done? He sure can. Excellent work there from Layson. He was much faster than he was up the circuit as well. So he just stayed close, picked up on the mistake, and Layson up to 15th place. He's still going to be a bit short of the reverse grid. Unfortunately, you need to be at least in the top 12. So between 6 and 12 places will be reversed. That's, I imagine, what Layson's would have been aiming for. But that is still an excellent move for him, and now he can sprint away from the queue of cars behind, which might get very exciting in these closing stages. Harrison out in the lead. Boy, it's not Harrison. Harris. He is currently half a second clear. So he's just pulled away something from Flatson. However, in these straights, Flatson can use that slipstream of the car ahead to gain a little bit more time. It's not over, but they've only got one more lap to go after this.
Yeah, indeed. It's a little bit of kind of what we saw in the last race there, Sam, is it is just that sort of slow back and forth between Harris and Flatson, moving their way around, trying to see if there's anything, but the gap is as big as I've seen it between first and second here at this point, about a half a second does Damian Harris have over Terry Flat.
Harris is trying to break the draft, but taking a slightly unusual line heading into that final corner. I think just trying to kind of extend the speed in that car up to half a second once again. So keeps on coming down a little bit down the straights, then extends through the corners as Harris puts in 27.3. Hussein has been catching on these two guys, but it's not going to be enough to catch in time. Of course, Platson and Hussein are teammates, so there's not going to be any over-ambitious moves, I'm sure, from a third-place driver. Palmer is off the circuit. I think these guys are about to come across Palmer, so he should be wary of a stationary car just ahead of them. Well, there is Palmer, and that's not a very good place to be, but he has stayed back, thank goodness. In fact, I thought he was on the exit of the corner. In fact, he was on the cut through. As he had to come back down. That's only 0.2 of a second behind, but he's running out of time.
Running out of time, running out of track as they go down into the chicanes and through Knickerbrook. But Flatson, very, very good on the speed. He's just got to try to carry this around a little bit. Ooh, big chunk at the curb there for Harris. This could be a little bit of a sprint to the line.
Just needs to line this one up. Well, he could go for a dive here. Would be a surprise move, but it's too narrow. And now it's going to come down to the final corner. Harris has been able to defend so superbly from the midway points in this race when he took the lead. And he is defending for all he's worth. Again, he knows where to position the car. And without a little bit of a bump from Flatson, there is only going to be one winner here. It was Flatson in race 1, but a mistake has given this race 2 victory to Damian Harris. Excellent win from him. Fantastic racecraft, and the Fiercely Forward driver will be elated with that result. Hussein finishes in 3rd place. We might have Hicks on pole position. We may have a few other drivers on pole positions. Rainford finishes top of the AMs, even though it may be an AM. We're not sure. But Malcolm, once again, beating Denya. Those guys absolutely level with one another. So, reverse grid pole will go to either Hicks, Hagen, Rainford, Gardner, Wright, Malcolm, or Denya. We'll wait to see what the reverse grid will be for race 3 of the evening. 5 drivers across the line, this big pack. Not too many changes, at least from what I saw in those closing stages. But, well, yeah, once again, overtaking was tricky there. And honestly, I'm just shocked, DJ, that Terrier made that mistake. It was so uncustomary. We haven't seen him miss an apex all day long. And then suddenly, you see him lose the rear end. Really came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's very, very surprising to see anything like that happen for him, and I think he will no doubt be kicking himself a little bit, maybe a little bit thankful that this is only a media day out there, but nonetheless, you don't want to let that idea of a mistake enter into your head, because I at least know in my situation, every time you drive past that corner, you're thinking about the previous mistake, saying, okay, how do I avoid from making that again? But Flatson doing a very good job to recover from it, keep the pressure up to Harris. Even though we didn't win this one, I think the race is going to be on between those two in this final heat here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good battle between the lots of them. And, well, I'm looking forward to Woodhouse and Anderson once again finishing line of stand. Seeming a bit of a gap for Harris for Woodhouse on the most part. Well, it was, well, 3 tenths, huge gap between the two of them. But yeah, that will be a good battle between the lot later on. So there is the final results. Harris, Flatson, Hussein, Woodhouse and Anderson, the top 5. And then once again, I keep on saying this, hopefully everyone understands. The race 3 reverse grid could be anything between 6 and 12 places. So these places are very important. Hicks, Hagen, Rainford, Gardner, Wright, Malcolm and Denya. The top 3 in the outers were Rainford, Malcolm and Denya. And the rest of the field will cycle through for you. I think whilst the second server is going up for race 3 of the evening, we are going to take a bit of a break on Apex Racing TV. So we will be back with you for race 3 of this media day in just a few minutes. Do not miss it. Welcome back to the Simutec TCR Winter Series Media Day from Oulton Park. Once again, we are on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. I'm joined alongside by DJ Clark. Sam Kume is operating the cameras. And we have already had two 20-minute races tonight. We have got one more for us in the remainder of tonight. And, well, the excitement is palpable, DJ, because we still don't know what the reverse grid is so far. And so, yeah, it could be something between 6 and 12, but, well, this will really mix up the order.
Yeah, for sure. Really, the only thing that we know for a certainty is that Harris and Flatten are going to be both starting in the back of whatever that reverse grid is, and that'll be a fascinating thing to see them work their way up through the field. But that reverse grid, it's really going to change things up. It's so difficult to pass here at Oulton Park. I think you could very easily see a driver or two just park themselves on the apex and be able to hold up a whole train of faster cars behind them.
I almost feel like if you got some two teammates, you could just drive them around side by side for 20 minutes and no one would be able to get past because there's no wide parts of this circuit. So if any drivers are listening, do that and you know, pay me later if you want, because it seems almost impossible because as you were saying, DJ, it's so tricky to overtake. I think yeah, we could well see a different winner. We've already had two different winners, Terrier Flatten and Damien Harris. The winners in both race 1 and race 2. In the race that they didn't win, they were second place, so very much establishing their dominance. But yeah, there's a whole host of drivers you could be winning out in this race 3. Wonder if you could get the track conditions up on screen because we are fairly late in the day. Should be plenty of grip out on circuit, saying that the track is at 69 Fahrenheit. I believe that is low 20s, like maybe 22, maybe even lower than that, maybe like 20 degrees Celsius. So a lot of grip for these drivers and they'll be very thankful for that.
Yeah, they will indeed. They'll have to be a little bit careful on the first lap, I think, as tires will take a second to come in, and it does account for some of the kerfluffles that we saw on that second race in the opening corners, specifically coming through cascades and down into the hairpin, that you're going to have to be a little bit careful about that.
I do love the iRacing lights, and you can see it's the 30th of November. And of course, very, very different climates, at least myself and EDJ we live in. But this is what it's like in November, even at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Long shadows because we're so close to the winter solstice. It does look, yeah, pretty cool out there for the drivers. Hopefully the sun isn't getting into their eyes on any part of the circuit. Hopefully the trees are blocking any such problems with visibility. Of course, this series, such a sponsor is Simutec. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring this this series. If you want to drive a professional motorsport simulator used by real racing drivers, be expertly coached and engineered to learn and navigate your way around some of the best circuits in the world and some of the fastest cars available. And if you want to become a faster sim racer and get yourself on par with some of the top esports pro drivers, well, at Simutec you can do all that stuff. At Simutec you are the driver. Go visit simutec.co.uk for more details. Thanks to them for yeah, endorsing this championship, as we've just got 1 more minute to go before we go green. We've had a remarkably excellent start in race 1, DJ, and then we've had a bit of a messy race 2, but honestly kind of what I expected from one of the race starts. With this reverse grid, maybe a bit more aggressive from the drivers getting to the end of the day as well. I wonder which way this race 3 start is going to go.
Well, I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer to what we saw in the second race. I anticipate a lot of aggression from the drivers that are getting bumped down as courtesy of the reverse grid. I anticipate a lot of people trying to make up as many positions as possible because of what we just talked about, how tricky it is to overtake, and the start being the best time to actually get those overtakes done. So a lot of drivers, I think, are going to be trying to push their luck a little bit here early on.
thanks to everyone who has subscribed to Apex Racing TV since we went live, particularly Mark Patquin and Jakub Simansky. Simansky, one of the drivers out here tonight. Thank you very much for subscribing to Apex Racing TV. For those who aren't subscribed, please do. We have got 15, 20 odd broadcasts every single week in lots of different cars, TCRs, GTs, single-seaters, rallycross, sometimes we do, prototypes as well, lots of different stuff, and ovals for that matter as well, lots of different oval series that we broadcast. And also check out our social media as well on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, where we host highlight videos from various races going on during the week. Here is the grid then. Paul King is on pole position. We have got an 11-car reverse, so it's the second biggest reverse we could have. And Paul King, very competitive driver. And Adam Wright, very competitive driver. All these guys are very good. Gardner, Rainford, Hagen, Hicks, Anderson, Woodhouse, Hussein and Flatson is the top 10. Very quickly, DJ, we finally know what the reverse grid is. Who do you think is going to take this one? Who do you think is going to come out on top?
It's going to be hard to say, but I think I'm going to have to look a little bit at a bit of an underdog, Naveed Hussein. Very good speed, ability to overtake, could be some fun for starting from 9th.
Well, he's ahead of Flatson and Harris, crucially. He needs to try to stay ahead of those in the first couple of laps. Maybe try to move up through the order as well. So, King and Wright on the front row of the grid. Gardner isn't taking part in this one. 5 lights are on. And race 3 is underway. Not sure if it was a very good start there for King. He's having to go defensive, but he has got it covered off. It is a Hyundai 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. Woodhouse trying to make up some moves. He loves that outside at turn 1, but he's made contact and he's sliding out wide and daring through the middle of all of them. I think it was Anderson. That's a fantastic start for the Norwegian driver, and he has been able to make a couple of very significant moves straight away. He's up a couple of places already. Good start by Anderson up through places. Apology, I think it was Anderson who was hit the driver making his way up through the order, but it's still King leading way. Right in second place, Hagen up into third, and so there's a lot of contact and drivers spinning off. That's Rainford who started in a strong position. I think Roberts may have been the driver who he made contact with, and they've both lost out big time. In fact, I think it may have been Gardner who had to start from the pits in fact, and he is way down the order compared to where he should have started. So it's a Hyundai 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Hussein very much backing what you thought was going to happen, DJ. He's up into 6th place. That's an excellent start there.
Yeah, very excellent start. Harris behind him up 4 positions as well. A little bit surprised that Flatten hasn't been able to drive up anymore. He is back in 10th right now, the same position that he was in before all of this happened. Paul King continues to lead Adam Wright. Gunnar Hagen, Thor Gunnar Hagen rather, doing a good job. We watch here as this is the battle for P1. Ooh, a little bit of a battle in the back as well.
As Hussein moving up into 5th place. He was so quick up the order in race 2, and he's doing a similar situation right here, and he's crucially ahead of kind of his main rivals Harris and Co. As here comes Wright all the way around the outside, and he's through up into first position as we have a big crash there. Hagen hard into the wall. He'll need to get a fast repair from that one. I think that was contact with Hussein or Hicks. I believe it was Hicks, and Hussein has been able to get past up into 3rd position, and that call for the race win is looking absolutely excellent right now because he's already past the majority of the drivers who he had to from the start, and he's now got one of his teammates as well just ahead of him, as that's very messy. Harris trying to get underneath Hicks, who has already made contact with another driver so far in this lap. Now dipping back into the slipstream. Harris trying to generate some slipstream. Is he able to go for a move into the chicane? No, he has to back out of it, and you can see Hussein every corner that he's stuck behind this driver. Hussein is moving away up in the distance, and Layson is currently top of the amateur drivers ahead of Creeper and Schill, because Malcolm has had a bit of a pull and he's down into 16th.
Yes, he is. Malcolm just not exactly having the best start to the race that he would like, but look at that. Naveed Hussein already up into P2 right now, able to get the move done on Paul King. He now only has Adam Wright in his sights up ahead of him.
Yeah, that graphic showing the positions gain really does illustrate just how impressive this has been for him. Up 7 places, not the highest gainer of anyone, but considering that he started in 9th place, he's got the huge proportion of the drivers who he had to, and yeah, he has just got the fastest lap of the race as well. So will be on to Adam Wright in no time, I imagine. Harris very close to the back of Hicks. He still can't get past. This has taken a little longer than what he would have hoped for. Will Hicks be defending into the hairpin, or will he just let his rival have this one? Looks like he is going to go defensive. Harris will at least try to push him offline as Woodhouse comes storming in and he takes them both out. Totally misjudged that one, Woodhouse, trying to defend himself, and he takes out both Hicks and Harris as well, who dropped down the order, and Woodhouse will feel absolutely terrible after that one.
Yeah, that was a very, very misjudged move there from Mark Woodhouse. Just absolutely terrible. Let's ride on board here as he works his way down into the corner. I'm not sure if this was just a misjudged braking or what, if we locked it up. I think it's a combination of all of the above and just acting like a wrecking ball there going down into the hairpin.
Oh, we've got another crash. This is Szymanski and Kupo. Oh, Woodhouse was involved in this one as well. Dear me, well, hopefully this wasn't Woodhouse's fault. He's got a cone attached underneath his car. I doubt it's the cone's fault. The cones. Oh, well, yeah, they somehow all got together, and then the 83 just spun across. That was very messy. Perry was the driver who spun across. It may have been with Anderson, who he collided with. So, out to the race were those two drivers. As we cut to the lead, and Wright has no more of a cushion. It is Wright versus Hussein, and, well, this is going to be a very long 15 minutes for Adam Wright.
Yeah, he has got to make that number 27 Hyundai as wide as possible here, and I don't know if he's going to be able to, because Naveed Hussein has just had some absolutely mega speed over the course of this final heat, and indeed the entire day's events of racing. Coming down now into the chicane. Hussein not really close enough to make the move, but he continues to apply pressure.
See how those gaps have changed, very much increasing to King. He can't keep up with these drivers. Platson trying to, Platson's under the radar, can't go up to fourth place. He has made a few overtakes, but the drivers crashing ahead of him have helped a lot, as there's a change between the teammates. Thane's ahead of Mason, who has been dropping down the order. Ask has been doing really well. He's up 8 places from his start. We haven't seen him up in the top 10 all night, but despite the fact that he wasn't within the reverse grid, as works his way up through the order excellently, as here could be the run. He couldn't quite get alongside, but we've seen this outside line through turn one work so well. Honestly, Wright just needs to drive Hussein off the track here, otherwise he is going to lose the position, because Hussein will just do that, and to be fair, you can try to run him off the track, he will just find speed nonetheless. And from 9th position on the grid, he's up 8 places in just 6 minutes. Naveed Hussein leads race through.
A really good job there, and yeah, as you said, Adam Wright just needed to get his elbows out a little bit more, try to force Naveed to go as wide as humanly possible into that first corner, and wasn't able to do it. Now it's going to be the 27 of Wright on the attack to see if he has anything for Hussein, but already starting to pull away a little bit, 3/10 of a second, the gap for the number 7.
Roberts off the track. At least we'll have some pace coming out of that hairpin. That line he's dropped about 5 places right there. Be good to see a replay of that one, see if it was a self-inflicted or maybe contact with another driver. He was very close to Damien Harris, I believe. Let's see how this one happened. But he was surrounded by cars, so I'm feeling quite negative about this one. Oh no, it was his fault, and he's very lucky not to take anyone else out.
Yeah, very lucky indeed on that one. As there we continue to watch Paul King. Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy, a little bit of contact there between, I believe that's Crisp and King.
Yeah, Crisp, he's now up 12 places, is the Oulton NHR driver. He's done insanely well. He was off the track, wasn't he, in race 2? He should get up into 16th place still. And the driver who was running up in 2nd place for much of race 1, that's where he qualified up in P3, I believe. Now showing that pace, and actually we've got a very competitive top few drivers, Hussein, Wright, Platson and Crisp, and King for that matter. You wouldn't really look twice if that was a race 1 field, honestly, as Schill is way up the jump at Cascades. I think he's hit the wall, and yeah, might be game over for him.
Yeah, it looks like he's stuck there in the wall, so he's going to have to take a tow as we jump back here. This is Rainford and Guerrara having a nice little fight. That is, excuse me, that's the 8 able to get on ahead. Rainford able to pull ahead of Guerrara and get that Honda moving forward.
Great driver versus amateur driver there. And apologies, Nate, they're both amateurs. Although, yeah, we're still confused if Rainford is an expert, so that will be clarified, I'm sure, next time out. He is the car number 8, which indicates that he's a pro, but I don't think that one was set. As asked what has happened to him, he's down 3 places. He's not showing us off the track. And he's not off the track, he's just very slow. Maybe a slow down. Putting 2 and 2 together here. Yeah, he seems to be all right for speed now, but that's a shame for Hakon. Because he was doing extremely well, but yeah, he's down 3 places.
And where he was on track, I would anticipate that being a slowdown, probably coming through the chicane, and he just waited to do it. But we jump up here. This is Lesson holding off Harris. Harris trying to get very aggressive. That's a move you normally don't see. A little bit of a crossover coming through Cascades, but it's going to put Harris on the opposite side of where he wants to be. He's going to have to go around the long way here of that 0-7. Is he going to be able to pull this off? Gleason? No, he's not.
Immediately diving to the inside as well, trying to get underneath his rival. But there's a little bit of movement there from Nason. But Harris couldn't get past. We haven't seen an around the outside move at that that long, but that was certainly the closest. And had Harris just kept part of his car alongside, he would have had the better exit, and then he would have been able to block the move. But he is much faster, less than a 1/10 of a second as he dives up the inside. We haven't seen many moves on this part of the circuit either, but now off the circuit goes Leighton. He was frightened off the track, and the leader in the amateur category goes slamming into the wall, and it means that Kuiper moves into the lead of that category.
Yeah, those AM standings looks like Kuiper, Malcolm, and Denyer. So Malcolm and Denyer, no 2 unfamiliar names, but there is the leader, and there is Malcolm directly behind him. So the race definitely on for the amateur standings.
Yeah, what are the lap times this time round? Kuiper, wow, 2 seconds slower. 1 second slower, my bad, I can't read. 1 second slower than Malcolm. So, well, this seems pretty nailed on the wall. Now, Kuiper did Malcolm start. Apologies. So, yeah, I forgot the rules, but of course, we had all the pros ahead of all the amps. So these amateur drivers have had to work their way up from their race start, particularly Malcolm and Denyer. They started down in 24th and 23rd positions, respectively. So had a lot of working to do, and they have done excellently well. They've nearly caught up to De Kuiper, who started in 19th place. So good drive from all of them, but it does certainly seem like Malcolm and Denyer are a bit faster.
Yeah, I think they definitely have the speed, and we've seen Malcolm's ability not only to defend, but attack as well. Remember, Denyer multiple times got by the Scotsman, and then Malcolm just able to respond very quickly, get back on the attack. So I like the 174's chances here for this fight.
Thanks to Bradley Hulse for letting us know about his visit to Simutec, and he was very impressed. So do make sure to check out simutec.co.uk. Thanks to Bradley for giving the very positive review as well. As Flatson onto the back of right now, 2.3 seconds is the gap. I was wondering if maybe if Flatson could catch up by the end of the race. He was 1/10 of a second faster than Hussein that last time around, and he's going for the move straight away. Right, left space. How did they not make contact there? Right, with the much better exit as well. Pulls ahead. That was ambitious there from Platton. It was a little bit late, but to be fair, it was telegraphed, so I don't think Wright could complain about not knowing that his rival was there. But just good driving from Wright there. Took a slight turn out the corner, still got a good exit, and he's still in second place.
Indeed it does, and so he's going to be able to hold on there for a little bit, but he now knows that Terry Flatten will be able to take any opportunity that he can, and I think that's going to cause the 27 to be looking in his rearview mirror all the more.
Yeah, the final corner, I mean, this is certainly a very good opportunity. There he goes up the inside, again, right, leaves space. Really good track there, right, because he's not defending too much, which, but he's got confidence on the outside. I think he's maybe willing to give up this position, but he's not gonna hand it to Flatten by any means. This is losing them time. You can see they're probably lapping over half a second slower than what they otherwise would be. Love to see the drivers use all that space on the outside there with the weird kind of curbing that they've got. As now he's underneath the game, but right with the better exit. Now this is where we saw the initial move from Flatten earlier on. He's a bit further back this time. This would be very ambitious if he went for it. He's a bit late on the brakes. Is he going to make contact? Just got it stopped in time. But this is taking him much longer than he would have been hoping.
Yeah, much longer indeed, and I would imagine there would be a little bit of frustration for Flatten to try to get by, but he's not really showing any out on track here. Nice and easy through the chicanes. You can really see just how much more car control Flatten has from this onboard. You saw how close he was getting to those tire barriers going through the chicane. You saw the wider exit that he was able to take out of the hairpin using the maximum amount of the track to work his way around. Wright is doing a fantastic job here, but it really looks like Flatten has the measure of him, and it's just a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, it's a long way to go still in this race, 5.5 minutes. And yeah, we do speak about how it's not easy to overtake, but it has been shown if you can get alongside, particularly down the pit straight, you are going to have a good opportunity, and just managing to force your opponent offline. I guess Wright is defending so well because he's not putting himself offline. He's taking the racing line, if anything. Now he is going to go defensive here. Is he going to try to go around the outside? We haven't seen this outside line through Cascades really work. You kind of just lose grip on the outside. I think that's what happened with Flatten, but he is closer into the hairpin. He could go for a move here, but he doesn't. Again, so close to making contact. He's very comfortable on the brakes. That is Flatten, but that's an excellent exit point. You can see he's using all the space on the exit of the track, and this time Wright does feel the need to go defensive, and that's all he needed to do. Just putting his car in the middle of the track. A good apex speed for him, and all this meaning that Matthew Crisp is catching up on that last lap. He matched these drivers, but on this lap he has caught by a few tenths of a second.
Yeah, able to catch there, and I've got to say, very impressive run there from Adam Wright. I thought when he went defensive into the chicanes that was going to put him offline, but as you said, Sam, able to get good apex speed, good way around, and just good job for him to be able to pull it off. Let's see here if coming up through Lodge, if that's going to be Flatten able to have anything at all. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. Maybe he'll try that run through Cascades again.
But it seems like every time we get into Cascades, he's alongside. This time, it's not quite the case. He has got a better run, undoubtedly. He is faster. We could go for a move here. Oh, look at that. He's onto the grass. It's going to unsettle the car a bit. And, well, I really held out no hope at all for it, considering how quick Hussein was able to get past. But this one's looking more possible. Oh, it's looking a little bit more impossible now because he's up the inside. Lots of contact between the two of them. And, well, that turns up into second place. I imagine Wright is not particularly pleased with that one. I wonder what the stewards will think of that. But, yeah, he is up into second place.
Yeah, a little bit of argy-bargy, but at the same time, this is a TCR race, and you've got to expect a little bit of it. Let's check out that replay. Just comes down here very late on the brakes. Wright leaves the door open. A little bit of contact there. I would call that a racing incident.
Yeah, I think so. It's yeah, such a narrow track, and he did pretty much get stopped. He's just way better on the brakes, it seems, right? I mean, apologies, Flatten. We've seen it lap after lap how he can make up a car length or two on the brakes into that hairpin, and that was the same case once again that time round. And he should be able to pull away, judging by the pace that we've seen from him so far tonight. He should be safe from Wright till the end. So that could well be your podium places right there. Not too much of a sign of change. Now, in the podium in the amateurs, it could all change. Kuiper still ahead of Malcolm, only by 0.3 of a second. Denyer is in third position out of that one, and Martin Shirley is just falling away, but he is there to pick up the pieces in 4th position.
Yes, he is, but Malcolm just continuing to apply that pressure here. This is for 10th overall, and again, the leaders in AM. Oh, here comes Malcolm after a mistake.
He's got to be careful of Denya potentially sticking it up the inside. I'm sure he'll take every opportunity he can. Malcolm leaves plenty of space on the inside. Can he keep part of his car alongside and take advantage of that excellent exit? He can. That was crucial for him there. Now, can he get the overspeed? I think if anything, he's going to be a bit stuck on the outside. It really depends how generous Kuiper is. Kuiper drives that one perfectly. And Malcolm wasn't far enough ahead into the corner. And this trade has kind of been the case for a number of laps here. Malcolm's been close, he's had chances, but he hasn't been able to make anything work so far. We've only got one more lap to go after this one. It's looking very good for the Belgian.
It is indeed, but we've seen some good tenacity out of the Scotsman, so it may not be completely over yet as they work their way down over some of the undulating parts of this circuit and up through right now. That looks like a pretty good run for Malcolm. This is that alongside on the pit straight that we've talked about, going over Deer Leap as the white flag comes out.
You certainly back Malcolm in this scenario. He drives it in deep into turn 1, and Malcolm is on course for another amateur race win. He's got it done. He's up into 10th place. Now he just needs to make sure that Kuiper isn't able to come back. Kuiper having a think about it. Malcolm keeping it so neat. And Kuiper's actually running a little bit wide there, probably having to get out of the throttle. Could go for a dive into the hairpin. It would be extremely brave for him to do so, as we see Rainford trying to gain a place just in the background, taking advantage of the slightly cautious braking of Denya, and Rainford might be up into 12th position. He's got the slipstream from the cars ahead, which might just be enough overspeed that he needs. He's actually just sitting behind, and the inside line will surely be an advantage. Be super late on the brakes there, Rainford, and that's an excellent move to move up into 12th place. But out in the lead, we've seen Flatton win a race, we've seen Harris win a race, and we're now going to see Hussein. I think these three may be the protagonists this season, because Navid Hussein crosses the line. He takes race 3 here in the media day. Flatton and Wright are on the podium. Thanes has had a problem right at the end. I think he was battling with Paul King, but he should hang on to 10th place, up 10 places. Apologies, he should hang on to 7th place, up 10 places from his start. As another overtake, what a final lap here from Rainford. A couple of superb overtakes. He's up into 11th place, and that will put a smile on his face. Excellent pace for the high-end-eye driver in those closing, apologies, the Honda driver in those closing stages. We've still got overtakes. It's Hicks, who is well out of position. He's up to 21st. He's overtaking Jackson right at the close. So, yeah, I think it's only right, honestly, that Hussein took that race win there, DJ, because at least it's seen from race 2, Hussein, Harris and Flatton are the 3 to beat. I'm sure there'll be other drivers, you know, who contend. Crisp as well might be a driver who can challenge for the title, but those 3 with one win apiece tonight have really set out their stall for this season.
Yeah, indeed they have. It looks like, as you said, those will be the 3 protagonists. And I think especially out of that, Hussein has some very, very good speed. We've seen what Flatton has been able to do on the defensive. Harris also won. Crisp has had some bad luck over the course of today's 3 races, but he is another one to watch out for sure.
To see some nice driving from the guys out here. This is many of the Ignea Motorsports drivers. There are lots of them out on track. I think 8 or so of them, maybe 6 actually. I think out on track. Great to see them fielding so many drivers, and they'll be certainly one of the favourites for the amateur for the teams championship. Apologies, albeit they have got drivers in the amateurs as well, I think. So we'll be fighting for all the titles. Could they maybe even get a clean sweep? All the drivers have crossed the line now, so we can go through the final order. Hussein on top, Flatton in second place, then it was Wright, Crisp, Harris, King, Thanes, Clays, Ask, and Malcolm, who was top of the AMS again. Well, it would be a shame if you didn't win the amateur championship from here, Malcolm, because he's been not dominant necessarily. He's only won each of these amateur races by like a second at most, but he has been looking very good. So yeah, the Scotsman looking strong for the upcoming 6 rounds of this series. Behind him was Jared Rainford, De Kuiper, Denyer, Shirley, Roberts, Gardner, Stevenson, Woodhouse in 18th. In 19th was Thomas Layson. I think for Layson actually, he was doing really well at one point, if I recall correctly, but dropped down. Then it was Kivisto, Hicks, Jackson, Hagen, Guerrera, Palmer, Calber, Schill, Nato was in 28th. The Portuguese driver, he didn't take part in race 1 actually, but was much better in race 2. Unfortunately, couldn't finish race 3. Perry, Simansky, Parmenter, and Anderson were the remaining drivers. Everyone took part in that race actually. No one skimped on that one. Shame to see some of the drivers who weren't able to get far into the event. We had a couple of collisions, but on the most part, a really clean evening of racing. We're hoping to get some of the drivers in for chats, as we've currently got 3 different broadcasts going on, so I'm just making sure that no one's jumped into the wrong interview waiting area. I don't think we've got anyone at the moment. Well, no, I take that back. We've got the legend, the veteran. We have got Scott Malcolm, who can now join us in the commentary box. Scott, it is wonderful to talk to you once again. Congratulations. I think that's a clean sweep of amateur race victories tonight.
Was it?
I think it was, yeah.
I didn't even notice. I knew I got it in 1 and 3, but I don't know about race 2.
Well, we're a bit confused whether Rainford is a pro or an AM, but his car number is number 8, so I'm thinking that saying that he hasn't got a 1 at the start of it, he's probably a pro. So by my books, that's a clean sweep. So congratulations.
Oh well, that's a surprise. I wasn't expecting that tonight. That's unthinkable for me.
How's the racing out there? Because it seemed like you had a proper rivalry with Denyer. You guys, I think, swapped places 4 times across the evening. How was it racing with him and the other drivers?
I think Ben has probably got sick to the back teeth to see the back end of my car. I think he's seen that a lot more times than he's seen anything else tonight. Yeah, but the racing was brilliant out there tonight. There's a lot of fast drivers, and they're only going to get faster because there's a lot of them learning these new cars. I've stuck with Audi because I know it, and I was maybe a wee bit too scared to jump in the other cars, but these guys are only going to get faster and faster. You know, this is only media day. You know, anything else can happen for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. We've got 5 rounds this season: Okayama, Imola, Knockhill, Donington, and Brands Hatch. Do I have to ask you what circuit you're most looking forward to? I think I can tell.
No, you don't need to ask. It's going to be Knockhill. It's going to be Knockhill.
Have you? What's it like driving it on the sim? Is it because I know there's been so much anticipation for it. How was it actually? You know, putting some laps around there in the touring car.
I've actually driven it in real life. I got a track day many moons ago, and for what I can remember, they've more or less got it spot on.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, with the iRacing doing a good job on that once again. Well, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Scott?
Just everybody for organising the series once again. It's been well missed. So thanks for starting this back up. Obviously you guys for doing the broadcast. Well, I hope you're going to be doing the broadcast for the rest of the season. And the Team Mad team for giving me the help and support.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Scott, and hopefully you can keep up these good results for the whole season.
Fingers crossed.
Scott Malcolm there, your triple winner in the amateur category tonight. DJ, did you want to take an interview with any of the drivers, or shall I take them?
I defer to you, my friend. You are the far more knowledgeable one, so you take them and you talk to our winning drivers.
That is no problem. So, I'm very confused at this point. We got a real mixture of drivers who were in the race and were not in the race. One driver who I am sure was in a race because he won one of the races was Damien Owen Harris, who joins us now in the commentary box. Damien, I said the same thing to Scott, but very nice to have you back in the commentary box after a little bit of a break. And well, congratulations on a first, a second, and a fifth. That must give you a lot of confidence heading into the season.
Yeah, well, first, folks, thanks very much. Yeah, it's been nice to be back. I've got a few strong guys in this league, and I was kind of looking forward to pitting myself against Naveed and Toj, because we're always very, very tight on track. And yeah, it's nice to get these sort of things out of the way on media day to sort of, I had a couple of incidents in race 3, which, happened. But yeah, no, it was good. I had the thing is recently with the introduction of the Honda and the Hyundai, it makes kind of introduce a new dimension to the racing. So you've got maybe the Audi is on a straight line is slightly quicker, and yeah, you've got some. Each car has its strengths, it's just quite nice. It brings a different dimension to TCR racing, which is probably why you've seen an upturn in interest in the recent build. So yeah, tonight was great. I really, really enjoyed it, and well done to everyone who managed to get some good results tonight.
The Honda seemingly is the least popular car, at least in this field. There were only a few of them. We had a poll in the YouTube comments as well, and the Honda was actually less popular than the Audi. Why is that, and why have you gone against the masses and decided to run it this season?
The reason I went against it wasn't because of the pace difference. I know it's slower. I know it's not as quick as the Hyundai and Audi, but I've been racing the Audi since it's come out, since it's released in 2019. Just fancied something different. And I realised the other top guys in the league are currently running Hyundai, so I thought just for a bit of variety, to run the Honda. It's one I've been practicing in. Yes, it suffers in a straight line. That's where its weakness is. You lose out, especially coming out of slower corners. You just can't get close, especially to the Audi. I suppose it does brake slightly better. It does on the brake. It does brake slightly quicker. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound too difficult, but I'm sure that Honda's slower than the other two cars. But hey, I mean, popularity tells it another day, and if in the official series, I'm sure if a lot of Audis or a lot of Hyundais are run, that would sort of speak for itself. But nonetheless, it was enjoyable regardless. Just happy to be out there and back racing with a lot of great guys. TCR racing at its best, I guess. Bring on round one.
I mean, you've raced in the GT series and the GT3s, I think, at one point or another, and I'm always the one applauding whoever drives the Ford GT, and I think the Honda might take that role. So you have certainly gone up in our estimations with picking the least popular cars. You got us on your side, which will hopefully help this season.
Fantastic.
I think you mentioned them earlier on. You mentioned Naveed and Terrier. In terms of kind of battling them in previous seasons, it's a bit of a weird one where I can say, oh, in ARL you've raced against Terrier, you may have raced against Naveed as well. However, all these different TCR leagues, at least as far as I'm aware, a lot of similar drivers. So I guess who out of the field, who do you think you probably race most, and who are you most looking forward to race this season?
I mean, Terrier and Naveed are very, very good drivers. They're the elite. If you stuck them against any one of your, George Simmons who ran for Apex, any one of those guys, they'd be on par with him. That's the kind of competition you're competing against here. You've got two guys at the front who are going to be, who could test anyone in a TCR car, and it's great to race against them. It's nice. It's very tough sometimes because I've raced Naveed, especially Terrier, in other leagues, and it's always very, very tight, very, very close. Sometimes we have contact, but again, it's TCR racing, it happens. I just hope that for our sake it can stay as clean as possible, and because let's be honest, TCR, as people of similar ability, you're never too far apart, if that makes sense. The toe is so strong. You never managed. I don't know if you saw in race 1 and race 2. I mean, you've got myself, Heré, and Naveed all in a space of about 1/10 or 2/10 of a second, and it's impossible to pull away. Unless something happens, all this damage. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see how the league pans out, because as you know, in the ARL in previous seasons, it's all down to consistency and who can finish well in those reverse grid races and staying incident free. That's a really, really important part of it. I think that race 3 results are probably going to determine the season, but we'll see. We'll just try and keep our nose out of trouble. And yeah, those 2 guys are my main threats, and they're the guys who are going to challenge me this season.
Definitely. Well, yeah, we were saying in the commentary box how yourself, Naveed, and Terrier all getting a race win this season. Maybe just an indication of the pecking order for the rest of the season. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Damien?
No, not tonight. Just thanks for you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's been great that you guys are doing this. Thanks to everyone watching, and yeah, thanks to the guys for taking part. It's a great race and great to be a part of.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and joining us in the commentary box, Damien. Best of luck for race 1.
Thanks very much. You too. Take care.
Damien Owen Harris there with a first, a second, and a fifth, the second highest. Well, if there were points, he would be the second highest point scorer. But after all of that, TJ, it counts for nothing. We can draw a line under it. It's next, in 2 weeks' time. It is Okayama, round 1 of the championship, where we will get the points properly scored, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think we've got such a competitive field, not just in the pros, but also in the AMs. I know Malcolm won all the races, but by like half a second in each. We are in for quite a season, I think, coming up.
We are indeed. And yeah, as you said, really the only thing to come out of today is momentum, that sense of confidence, but don't discount that. All of the winners today can be very, very happy about it. And it does give us a little bit of an idea of who to be watching as we get going. But one thing is for sure, the 5 weeks we have remaining, I think we are going to see just as close racing as we did today here at Oulton Park.
Yeah, we are really looking forward to the races coming up. Okayama, Imola, Knock Hill, Donington, and Brands Hatch. Really fantastic schedule, and very much looking forward to it on Apex Racing TV. The next round of the championship will be at Okayama, 2 weeks' time, 28th of December. Do make sure to join us for that one. And I will just give a final quick shout out to Simutec, and if you want to drive like a professional on a professional motorsport simulator used by real racing drivers, if you want to improve your iRacing performance, do visit simutec.co.uk and check out the services that they provide. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it and go subscribe to Apex Racing TV so you can see all of our other races. We're kind of getting into the cool down period now during the winter, but we've got a few more races this week. We have got ARL NASCAR on Thursday, final round of the championship at Homestead. That is on Thursday. We have got Apex Racing League Wave Italy Prototype Championship on Friday. We've got the F3 Championship on Saturday. I believe we've got IGP Fun still on Sunday. Spec Racer Ford on Sunday as well. So a few more races to go, and then of course come January we will have loads of races. Always super busy time of year is January and February in the sim racing world. So do make sure to subscribe to the channel and also check out our Twitter, Instagram and Facebook pages as well. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from DJ Clark and from Sam Kume, we have got the media day in the books. We'll see you for round 1 at Okayama in 2 weeks' time. See you then.